I am mining investor and editor of Resource Stock Digest. Head out of the old Del Real here with my partner, Mr. Nick Hodge, who, as you know, is also an investor and the publisher of Daily Profit Cycle. This is the 262nd episode of our weekly therapy session that we like to call Investing in Bizarro World. We're going to talk gold. We're going to talk copper. We're going to talk Bitcoin. Ooh, Bitcoin dropping. Oh no, it's a bloodbath. We're going to talk uranium. Lots to get to. We're going to talk Jerome. But as always, before we get to that, how are you, Mr. Hodge?
Bloodbath is funny, Gerardo. I don't know if you follow the Bloodbath drama over the past week or so, but apparently Google has changed their definition in the past couple of days to publicly reflect something different than one of the major presidential candidates said was his definition of bloodbath if he wasn't going to get elected. But anyway, par for the course in this election year, all sorts of wonky stuff out there, bloodbaths and otherwise. I'm doing great. We'll see you soon.
I like that you picked up on that. I'm doing well as well. Yeah. No, I'm doing well. We're healthy. Looking forward to having you out here. Looking forward to this total eclipse and really looking forward to opening day, man. We're about a week or so away from 28th. Opening day for my Cubs, and we have a squad this year, so I'm excited for it.
Nice. The Orioles are looking good as well. And of course, we are having a Super Cycle webinar that day as well. So big day on the 28th.
Well, let's get to why we're having a Super Cycle webinar, right? We have gold at all-time highs, largely on the back of a very dovish Jerome. Jerome has spoken, and if you are to believe Jerome, he believes the fight against inflation has been won, basically, is kind of what he sounded like. And he also hinted that even if it hasn't been, won or secured, that he's probably going to cut rates 2 or 3 times. And the market seemed to have believed him. Gold hit a new all-time high, currently trading at 2,080. The major indices, brand new record highs across the board. This despite the dollar index holding above the 104 level. So interesting times. We've talked about the bifurcation in the market. Your thoughts on the indices, and then let's talk gold, and then let's talk Super Cycle, and let's talk copper and all the other things.
He's doing it for the American people, Gerardo. That's how he led off his remarks after the FOMC, or for the FOMC press conference last week, by the time you would have seen this. I wonder if that includes the gentleman who just pulled his RV up here yesterday outside my window and has to live in that because he can't afford a house. I wonder if that includes the part of the population that Jerome is going to cut rates for. But I digress a little bit. Everything is awesome. We've been saying that, and how everything is awesomer. So I think the market had a little bit of worry that the Jerome was going to be a little bit hawkish yesterday. He, of course, was not. And though we didn't get a rate hike or a rate cut yesterday, he did, as you say, point to 2, potentially 3 more cuts this year. And of course, the market rallied. S&P at new all-time highs, Dow at new all-time highs, gold in the highest territory that no human has ever seen before, $2,200 the ounce, silver heading to, 26, 27, and on down the line, right? So, gosh, I don't know where to go from there. And that's exceedingly bullish for lots of asset classes, right? As we know, interest rates going back down, stocks go up. Assets go up, housing prices go up. By the way, you're going to get, not you, of course, not me, first-time home buyer is going to get $10,000 credit. So good luck. Well done. Now your home is worth $10,000 more, Gerardo, because of course the housing prices are just going to go up $10,000, right? So we've been saying this for a long time. I've been saying this for a decade. You have to be an asset owner. Or you're going to get left out. And I was giving a talk this week to Foundational Profits members. We have a quarterly call, and I was saying one of the mistakes I made recently is thinking that people actually mattered, right? Thinking that student loan debt that couldn't pay it mattered, thinking that people living in caves on the side of rivers mattered, thinking that $1 trillion in credit card debt mattered. None of that matters. It's been essentially papered over by the things that we've talked about: record government spending, record deficit spending, a third of new hires coming from high-paying government jobs. And so all of this is in the back of Uncle Sam, which is great if you understand that. So my account is the highest it's been in months and months and months now that we flip-flopped again, right? From where we were cutting in December, we weren't cutting on 60 Minutes in January, and now we're back to 3 cuts this year. So anyway, it's good for the asset owners. If you can own the things that are inflating, you might remember back to 2 years ago, I was talking about whack-a-mole inflation, and you've got to own the things that are inflating in your account. Well, here we are. Copper's inflating past 4, $2,200 gold, as we said, and on down the line. So I don't know if that was any sort of answer, even what question you asked, but yes, if you can own the assets, then Jerome is going to seemingly cup your balls for this election year.
Started the podcast with a bloodbath and getting your balls cupped. It's a hell of a way to intro the podcast, Mr. Hyde. Thank you for that technical answer. Is cupping your balls a technical term?
No, but it's a real person term. And listen, I was reading some about AI, and we of course talked about Google's AI recently and how it wouldn't do certain things. I was reading this article on AI that said one of the ways you're going to be able to know in the future, sort of like a Turing test, the difference between an AI generated Gerardo and Nick or some other podcast, is if they're willing to say things that are, off color or not PC or against the status quo. It's going to be the only way you're able to discern, someone that's not being artificially generated. And so we've got to keep that up, Gerardo. That's the only way they're going to know we're real.
I'll tell you a funny story about AI. Our audio video wizard, Tim, was trying to make an AI version of me for a promotion that we're running, right? And so he typed in my name, and everything he got back, according to him, was like the most stereotypical little Mexican guy ever. So he asked me if I had a real picture that I could provide him with of my childhood, because he couldn't get one generated in a way that didn't look stereotypical as hell.
Speedy Gonzalez with a sombrero.
Little mustache, and I don't know, Dickies and my flannels. I don't know what to tell you folks out there. Anyhow, I digress. Back to the market. So it sounds like you're saying everything is awesome and everything's going to keep being awesome. But, and here's the important part, the reason we're running this Super Cycle webinar is I believe there is a generational opportunity to make money. And I think it's going to last for years. And I think there's going to be 2 types of people. People that look at assets continue to balloon higher with the help and aid of Mr. Jerome. And then there's going to be people like us that are going to continue to do very, very well because we own the things that are going to inflate away. And so I really want to stress the importance to people out there. If you think $4 copper is high, if you think $2,200 gold is something, if you think $25 silver is something, if you think $81 uranium or $90 uranium, it bounced back today, is something, you ain't seen nothing yet. And there is going to be a lot of money made. So I hope that people join us for that. It should be fun. I always look forward to it. And, by extension, hopefully it doesn't go on for 10 hours because, as you all know, I like to rant and rave, but I'll try to keep it to market. So excited for that.
It's this week. So if you're watching this, the day it comes out, it's the 28th. So we had a link in last week's podcast, whether on YouTube or the Daily Profit Cycle site. And then we'll do it again this week so you can sign up and I'm registered to watch that webinar on the 28th. And yeah, by all means, things are going up. I was telling you and other editors this week at our editors meeting that, I've just been YOLOing in my personal account. I bought some shares of Super Microcomputer 2 days ago at like $800 a share, and I sold them today at almost $1,000 a share. I mean, it's not even hard. And I know you don't have to be smart to do that. I've been around the block enough to know, and I watch my account most of that time. So, if it's volatile or whatever, I can get out. But yeah, stuff's just been going up, Gerardo. So I hope people do join, because I think the hard stuff, right, the stuff that you drop on your foot is going to go up even more precipitously here.
Yeah, well, look, and we were talking a bit before we started recording about, my favorite copper speculation. And, I have exposure with warrants to like 2 million shares now. And that is up, some 100% here over the last couple of months. It was up some 60% just this past week. And so the greedy part of me wanted it to stay lower for longer because I wanted to accumulate a heck of a lot more shares at lower prices. However, if this company does what I think it's going to do, these prices will be laughable. And I predict a Patriot-like run, if not better, just because of the scale of the land package. I mean, as impressive as Corvette is with, its 50, 60 kilometer trend, this company controls an entire basin, and it's got all the stuff that's going to keep going up. It's got copper, it's got gold, it's got silver, and there looks to be a whole heck of a lot of it. So I am excited for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years with that company. I'll keep it quiet. Those of you that know me know what it is. Those of you that are subscribers know what it is. Those of you that don't know, you should subscribe to the newsletter. It's a couple of $100 a year. And I think that one has got, again, it's got Patriot-like potential, if not greater.
I'll give you another artificial intelligence story I was thinking about. You were talking about high-grade copper and silver, et cetera. And I was telling you I was using ChatGPT recently, and I was asking it to give me examples of stocks that went up in previous resource super cycles, previous commodity super cycles. And the first example it gave me last night was Bre-X. So careful with your AI, folks.
Yeah, please be careful with your AI. So we're in agreement. Copper goes higher. We're in agreement that, lithium is rebounding. I think we're in agreement that uranium put a near-term bottom. It looks like that 81, 82 level was the new floor. Currently trading right around the 86, 87 level, flirted with 90. And like we told y'all a couple of weeks ago, sometimes you just need to go outside and do something else. Spend time with the wife, go spend time with your pets, go to the gym, get outside. And, I look at my portfolio all day, every day, to the point where my elbows started hurting because I'm checking the overseas markets, the Australian markets, even during the evening time, right? And so I've had to do better at putting the phone down a little bit and not checking the markets as often. But with uranium, we told y'all a couple of weeks ago, it's a minor pullback, a healthy correction within a major bull market. And again, those of you that think the uranium trade is over, it's going to be a fun ride from here on out for those of us that don't believe that. So lots of ways to make money right now, folks. Get in the game. Get in the game. There doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the smartest guy. I am by far not, the smartest person ever in the room or the brightest bulb in the box. And I figure out a way, to make millions for myself and friends and subscribers. So if I could do it, you could do it as well. It's not that difficult right now.
No doubt.
What I like else? It. We got to talk Bloodbath and in Bitcoin. Everybody, I mentioned Bloodbath because somebody I follow on Twitter, who I respect actually, for their macro opinions. When Bitcoin hit 62,000, they were like, it's a bloodbath in Bitcoin. And I'm looking at it going, dude, pull out a 6-month chart. What the fuck are you talking about? A bloodbath in Bitcoin? No bloodbath in Bitcoin right now. It's what looks to be a healthy correction to me if I'm just looking at the charts, and you are more the technical person than I am. But we happen to be privy to have access to Mr. Chris Curl, who is our in-house crypto expert, and I think he concurs without putting words in his mouth. Your thoughts?
He definitely does, and I know he does because he was buying more this week, and I know that because we're the ones who puts the money in the account. So we put more money in that account. We're giving him $50,000. He hadn't spent it all yet, right? He had more capital to allocate, and then he started doing that this week with some different altcoins and such. Even me, who I previously told you, who only owns Bitcoin, like I sort of think about physical gold, have it in my safe, is dabbling in the markets this week with ETH, Grayscale Trust, and things like that, right? And surprise, I made money on it, right? I mean, it's like, these things are going up. And I was telling you last week that Bitcoin could go a lot lower. Like, I'm trying to get ahead of these bloodbaths now, right? I told you, pretty sure my exact words were Bitcoin could go all the way to $64,000 and would still be bullish. And lo and behold, it went down to just around that level, a little bit lower. And it still remains bullish for the same reasons that gold does, that gold is bullish. And so back to Jerome, I think there was, I said this once, but I think there was a little bit of fear in the market that he could be a little bit more hawkish. And now that he's saying that there's going to be cuts, I mean, these things are gonna ramp up. Gold has already done it. I believe Bitcoin is going to do it. Bitcoin has a separate event from gold, right? We got this halving that's going to happen in the third week of April, and we've got a tracker up now for that daily profit cycle because it goes by the hash rates and how much Bitcoin is mined in order to get you to the next halving, where the rewards for these miners are cut in half. And so we put an article up that has a countdown embedded. And on the heels of this commodity supercycle webinar, we'll have a Bitcoin video out right on the heels of that in time for the halving. So yeah, we're not resting. Like you said, you got to find a way to get out there and get in there. And we're trying to give you those ways. It's up to you, of course, to take them, whether that's, junior resource stocks or cryptocurrencies. We are owning the things that are going up. And so get on your horse and ride, as Queen once said, or your bike, I guess it was. Get on your bike and ride.
Switzerland and Mexico just cut rates. And so I want to touch on that for a reason. I've been on the record for years, and I started saying this in 2016, 2017. after reading some of Martin Armstrong's work. And I love his macro take, and not so much on the social side of things, but definitely on the economic side of things. And, I've said since 2016 that there's going to be a scenario one day where gold is at all-time highs, the dollar index is rallying, and the overall indices are all surging. And I think we're there. I think this week was proof positive that that's where we're headed. And for a lot of people, that's not going to make sense. People won't understand why, if rate cuts are coming, the dollar's still continuing to move higher. And the reason is, and again, I used this term back in 2016. I was a little early, but we are the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry basket. That is just the bottom line. As long as the U.S. is the reserve currency, and as long as there's geopolitical tensions all around the world, not to mention wars and, all of that, we still are the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry basket. And so for those of you that are dollar bears, eventually it'll return to its intrinsic value, which is paper and, whatever the paper is worth. But a lot of other currencies are going away first. And so will there be a global reset one day? Absolutely. The dollar's not going to lead that reset. It's going to be the last one standing. And so just wanted to touch on the dollar a bit, because I know it can be confusing when you look up and gold's at 2,200, silver surging, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ surging, and then the dollar index is up above 104 again. It doesn't seem sensical, but it makes complete sense if you look at it from that kind of prism, right?
I mean, stuff's broken. Back to Bitcoin. Chris Curl wrote an article this week or last week about, how to navigate the broken financial system. And it's certainly broken. I mean, I think Wingstop has a $10 billion market cap, like a chicken wing joint, right? And you compare that to against other real businesses, and we're still in that sort of meme stock frothy area where some stuff doesn't make sense. I just talked about the haves and the have-nots, asset prices at all-time high, homelessness also at multi-year highs, a raging opioid epidemic, and likely spurred by, at least in some extent, by that have-not mentality, and then people that can't escape that. So tragic things going on, and yet the dollar perseveres. I've told you for weeks that rumors of its death were greatly exaggerated. And, we still have the aircraft carriers, which I've often mentioned on this podcast. That makes us the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry basket. And then another funny thing I was reading this week was about things America's good at and things America's not good at. And this was funny because it was saying we might have the Fahrenheit system, but we can recover after a pandemic like nobody's business. And it was comparing America GDP and stock market to the Europeans. And it's like, well done, Europeans. You can base a temperature system off the freezing point of water, but you can't have a V-shaped recovery out of a pandemic like America can. So anyway, I thought that was funny.
It's a lot of funny out there going on. I don't want to sound like a broken record or overemphasize the point, but I hope you all join us for the webinar. I think it's timely. I think it's perfectly timed, and that's better lucky than good sometimes, right? The market just happened to cooperate with us and give us a whole heck of a lot to chew on, and a whole heck of a lot of opportunities to take advantage of. So hopefully people get in the game. Hopefully people join us. If anything, it'll be a good hour or so of Nick and I doing what we do here on the podcast, but in a more nuanced way, right? Hopefully.
Yeah. And I guess we could give them a little bit of a teaser, right? We're going to go through previous commodity super cycles. There's been just a handful since essentially in the past century, right? The one after World War II, one in the 70s. People will remember the lines for gas and the high oil prices, but certainly my parents would tell me about those, having to line up based on your license plate number, et cetera. And then one in the 90s, which we caught the tail end of, with gold hitting records in the late 2000s on the back of that global financial crisis. So these things last sort of for 15 or 20 years, 10 or so years up, 10 or so years down. And we certainly had those years down from 2011 until 2020, right? I mean, gold hit all-time record highs in 2011, came back down. Rare earths ran hard in 2010 and 2011, and then came back down. Uranium obviously ran hard in 2007, 2008. Fukushima happens in 2011, and that comes back down. And that's what you need, is this completion of the super cycle, right? Essentially, and we'll go through this again in the webinar, is it's a sine wave, right? It's a sine curve. There's booms and there's busts, and there's booms and there's busts. And this has happened for all of human history, even before there were stock markets. I mean, feast and famine is in the Bible, for example. We'll touch on that. We go through a Roman example or two. And so these boom and bust cycles have been around for a long time. What we do is apply that boom and bust cycle to the market, right? Where it actually has consequences for your bottom line if you can own the assets that are going to go up during that boom part, which we're in now. And so we spent some time going through that, and then you're going to reveal what your top 3 commodities are for what we're calling phase 2 of the super cycle. Because again, sounding like a broken record, this thing kicked off in 2020. We had a real good pullback. Just look at lithium, look at gas prices. I filled up my truck a couple of weeks ago for $70, and then I went just the other day, it was back to $100, right? So we're getting that leg up now, is what I'm saying, a phase 2 of the super cycle. So, and then you'll give us a stock for each of those commodities that you lay out, plus some bonus treats, of course, that we'll have in that webinar. So definitely looking forward to it. And I know there's already hundreds of people signed up to partake in that with us, and we hope you'll sign up as well.
What are you watching in the market this week?
I am looking at small cap stocks, I think. I've got the foundational profits portfolio positioned pretty well. HFO, a Hodge Family Office, has been kind of lean because I was honestly unsure if we were going to get this everything is awesome thing. I think that now that everything is awesome, I'm going to be less gun shy and more trigger happy on the small cap side of things. There's all kinds of stocks out there, non-resource stocks I'm talking about that have done and are doing well. Things like restaurants, things like retailers, and so again, gun analogy, I'm going to be pulling the trigger a bit more on the small cap side of things and getting some things recommended in Hodge Family Office. And really nuanced, I guess, is we're going to have a pullback here in the next couple of days. Trees never grow to the sky here, right? And so what I'm saying is, Jerome spoke. We had a 300 or 400 day Dow day, and then another. I didn't look today how it closed. I can tell you real fast.
Oh, everything's awesome. How do you think it closed?
Well, yeah, of course. 269 Dow up today. Closed at new all-time record highs. And so once we get that next pullback, I want to spring into action on the buy side.
I like it. I like it. What am I watching? I'm hoping Patriot decides to put some news out. That'd be nice. Even, everybody knows I'm super long-term committed, sticky shareholder that, again, I've sold shares to cover tuition costs and tax bills and rather large tax bills, but and a few financings here or there, but I still have still by far my largest personal holding cash-wise. I say that to say I would love an update of some sort, something material, right? We really haven't had news for weeks. There has to be assays that are coming in, and I'm really excited about CV9. I think that has the potential to be another, CV5 type of discovery. So looking forward to getting something on that front. I know the company was busy marketing for a couple of weeks pretty heavily. I don't think it's a coincidence that, the stock has rallied well here in the past month, but, 8-9 seems to be the new floor. And if that's going to be the new base, that I'm looking forward to the next leg up there. And then, and I'm biased on this one, folks. I own millions of shares and have millions of warrants and just wrote a big-ish check for this company. But Atco Mining optioned a uranium project. They have the right to earn up to 75% of the Atlantic project in the Athabasca Basin from Standard Uranium, which I'm also a biased shareholder of. And so Atco's been trading pretty well. The last check I wrote was at 5 cents. It's up, some 3 cents. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up really, really quick.
On a 5-cent base,
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And so 33% move today being March the 21st, on some pretty decent volume. I have to believe they have indications of how the drill program is going. I would love to see an update from that company here in the not too distant future. But, my spidey senses tell me it probably isn't going horrible if people are buying the stock and it's rallying, because they still have a second tranche of a financing that they're looking to close. And I understand that's spoken for. We'll see. We're going to find out. It's going to be one of two things. It's going really well, or it's going to be we hype the stock up to get the financing closed. And if that's the case, then we'll see how long I'm a shareholder. But right now, it seems like it's green lights and all signs point to a success there. And look, this company's got a $3 million market cap. I interviewed the CEO this week for Resource Stock Digest. And let's be clear, he's the largest shareholder. He owns 10 million shares. He wrote a substantial check in this recent financing. Hard not to at 5 cents when you have a market cap of 3 million. And you have the technical expertise of, the Neil McCallums of the world leading your drilling program. So if you want a uranium speculation, folks, that happens to have a large, robust hydrogen storage package, land package in Newfoundland, that play is as solid as it gets for a micro cap. $3 million market cap, $1 million plus in the bank. Drills are turning. There seems to be support for the stock. Let's see how it plays out in the next week or two, but definitely looking forward to that as well.
Awesome. I'm not going to give away any picks.
That's you get your money's worth, everybody. That was it. I'm supposed to remind you every week to subscribe to dailyprofitcycle.com/subscribe for a ton of free content from myself, from Mr. Hodge, from our talented group of editors at Daily Profit Cycle. I hope everybody has an awesome week. I hope everybody signs up for this webinar. Looking forward to that. Anything else you want to touch on, Nick?
No. The fourth turning is ongoing. The Fed is playing right into it. They're going to usher in some reinflation here. There's a cadre of the population that simply can't deal with higher asset prices at the pump and elsewhere. And that's going to come to bear here in the next few years. I was reading an article this week. Let me just make sure I get it 100% right. About the number of people in state legislatures that are working class. And here's the percentage. Are you ready? Out of 7,400 state lawmakers, there's 116 who are working class percentage-wise. That is 1.5%. So you got 1.5% representation of the working class in state capitals across our great nation, all 50 states. And meanwhile, from a demographic perspective, some 50 or 55% of the country is working class. So they've got no representation when it comes to wage issues and policy issues that relate to that, unions, et cetera. So I don't want to talk about it in depth, but there's no representation for half the country in all of the states. And so the fourth turning is going to keep on turning. And again, put your blinders on and own the assets, right? So I guess that's all I got to say about that. But Jerome is really disingenuous coming out talking about doing what he's doing for the American people, and you've got to be able to separate that in your mind.
The other term for really disingenuous is he's a fucking liar and a crook, but I'll leave that there. And I'm passionate about central bankers and policy because of what it's done to the middle class and the lower class economically here over the past 25 years. It should be criminal what their policies have done, not just to America, but around the world. We've exported a lot of poverty and misery and really did that for the benefit of the very few. We happen to luck out in life, Nick, and we happen to be born in a country that provides amazing opportunity, and we happened to figure out, you always say you're a squirrel trying to get a nut. We happen to fit a blind squirrel at that. We happen to figure out how to do something that compensates us pretty damn well. That is not the case for the majority of the world. So when I say he's a fucking liar, I say it with passion because I'm very well aware that I am the beneficiary of crooked policies that enabled the very few. And just because I happen to be on the very few side doesn't make it right.
Anyway, I was going to say, it doesn't hurt to have a house or two in one of the fastest growing real estates in the country. And again, those are the opportunities that were available to us. I did the same thing. We've talked about that on the podcast. Yeah. And so it's not like we haven't been writing about it for a decade.
It's all there, which again, I remind you, you should join us for this webinar. There's going to be a ton of money being made. And as much as I could rant and rave against Jerome's policies, I know damn well I'm going to benefit from it as far as positioning myself, my family members, friends, and my subscribers to make as much money from it as possible, because we are in a fourth turning, folks, and those are volatile. And put your seatbelts on. Should be interesting.
That's it.
That's all I got, folks. I hope everybody has a phenomenal week. Looking forward to opening day next week. I am Gerardo Del Real, along with Mr. Nick Hodge. This was the 262nd episode of our weekly therapy session that we call Investing in Bizarro World. Go Cubs, let's get it.
Happy spring, everybody. See ya.
Hey there, you independent-minded investor. If you like this video, make sure to tell us so by clicking the like button below. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss another one. And share it with everyone you know on social media. You can also click the link in the description below to check out more information-packed videos just like this one. Thanks for watching.